Welcome back to live Q&A with Miles Franklin, although it looks like it's live Q&A with Kevin Hauser or Tattoo. Andy is, I'm not sure what he's doing. Could be blowing his nose. Not sure. I think he's here. Hey, welcome back.
Hi.
We're live.
No, we're not.
No, we are.
No, we are not.
No, we are. We are.
Do that to me. You would never do that to me.
It says live.
Why would you do that to me?
You know, listen.
What happened to the other, your great invention?
It somehow there was no power to it, so we have to share a mic again. So
That's really stupid.
oh wait, let's just go on there. Comments. There we go.
I think
we did.
I think we got a lot of crap last week.
Yeah,
for the notifications.
It was really
Kevin's
bad.
fault.
No, he wanted to get notified about something that I'm going to. Yeah, but that's like every day. But it's good to be back. It's been a busy week, yeah. What do you want to start with?
We got a lot to talk about. You know, one of the things that came out today or yesterday was, well, let me back it up. So I was doing an interview with Michelle McCory a week or so ago on Kitco, and
is this like a sponsorship opportunity for Chick-fil-A? Do I have to like cover it up, or
that's
okay?
Probably good.
Okay, just saying.
Guy told you. And anyways, she asked very insightful questions. She's really good at her preparation. All the interviews I do, she always puts me on the spot.
Very intelligent woman.
She enunciated something to me that I've always kind of had in the back of my mind and thought it was strange. But now we see what it really is. So anyways, I was talking to her about the mBridge and the unit settlement token, which we were told by Dilma Rousseff, the head of the New Development Bank, the former president of Brazil, that they had agreed in principle to this new unit settlement token traded over mBridge. And everyone was talking about it. And when you have the former president of Brazil, the head of the New Development Bank, say, in principle, we've agreed to this, it has been agreed upon. But the part that has always kept me kind of thrown me for a loop, and now I see why, was that mBridge was designed by China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates. But through the backing of the Bank of International Settlements Innovation Hub. And Michelle said to me what I've really kind of been thinking, but never let it go deep enough into my thought to think about it substantially. And she said, well, isn't the BIS a Western entity? I said, yeah, it is. And I thought to myself, you know, and I even said it to her, maybe it's the West's way of, instead of having a one world currency, they would have the ability to control Project Agora and Project Cedar coming out of the West, and mBridge out of the East, and kind of be the puppet master above it all. But what came out yesterday was that now the BIS is talking of pulling the plug on mBridge. It's almost like espionage, it's double crossing. And I want to read something to you that just kind of blew me away as it pertains to this decision. And, you know, my question before I read this is, well, what the hell did they think? I mean, if the BIS was helping the BRICS develop a cross-border payment system free from SWIFT intervention, well, you'll hear what I'm talking about. Just, it makes no sense, and it's like they royally screwed the BRICS, and I think this only will crystallize this union of countries that is now probably really pissed off. And so they talk about pulling the plug on the mBridge, and you got a spokesman for the State Department who had the nerve to come on and say, you know, any system, any alternative payment system that would challenge the SWIFT system and undermine the dollar is a threat to global democracy. So in other words, we get to, as the West, decide what is democracy and
And
what
what is
isn't,
not,
what
right.
is fair, what
Yeah.
isn't. And this is the State Department saying this, and that it leads to authoritarian, the rise of authoritarian regimes, but it's a threat to global democracy. And what's crazy is that you got this guy Austin Carstens. He kind of looks like Gustus from Willy Wonka, only grown up, and he says that we cannot directly support any project for the BRICS. He's the BIS general manager, Bank of International Settlements.
Yeah.
And he says we cannot support directly any project for the BRICS because we cannot operate with countries that are subject to sanctions. I want to be very clear about that. Well, where the hell have you been for the past 2 years? And then you have Agathe Demarius, a senior policy fellow at the European Council for Foreign Relations, who says, in the long run, there is no doubt that the mechanisms like BRICS Bridge could be useful for China, Russia, or others to hide sensitive transactions from Western authorities. The underlying technology is a tool to circumvent sanctions and potentially undermine the dollar's dominance in the global financial system. So you have the BIS, the Innovation Hub, who has been there all along. They say it was dominated, the technology, by Chinese programmers, but they're just deciding this now at the 12th hour. It's really crazy, Kevin.
Listen. I mean, you're talking about, again, entities that you would expect to come out. I mean, how long?
It's like a James Bond movie, man. I mean, it is. It's like they foiled, at the 12th hour, just when they've released it and they're going to issue it at the 12th hour, the espionage comes in and, nope, sorry, we're pulling the plug. You're screwed. Go back to basics.
Does it really surprise you? Does it really surprise you?
Well, actually, it kind of doesn't, but it does. And it just goes to show, people would always say that the West won't go down without a fight. To me, this is emblematic of it. So they invite in, all of these countries, the Innovation Hub, and let's do this and let's build it. And then it's built and it's operational. And then, nope, we're taking it back. So, does that mean that they just wanted to, siphon the technology and see what they had in store? And now they're saying this about Putin, and it's fine. It's to me,
disingenuous.
Yes, it's disingenuous that they would more or less say that the benefit of this multipolar universe that would be mBridge instead of the unipolar, which is the dollar, would really only benefit China and Russia, when in actuality you have all of these developing countries who would be able to trade in local currencies, only building their own economies instead. So who's really benefiting from this but the West, and who isn't? You have the majority of all of human population. The number of countries that would have been able to join this literally are the majority of human population, and instead it's the West taking the reins here. And I don't know. I'd like to know what people think about this, but I find it to be very, very interesting. And one other thing that came out of it, and I owe most of this to James Rickards, who came out with some interesting stuff, and that was about the BRICS Clear, which is a system that will allow these countries to trade with one another back and forth in local currencies, and it's over this BRICS Clear platform that, again, is impervious from the SWIFT. And what happens is that maybe once a month or once a quarter, the member banks, these commercial banks in the BRICS countries, will settle on a net basis instead of a gross basis. In other words, if China trades whatever they're trading, widgets to Saudi Arabia, or let's say to the United Arab Emirates for oil, and widgets and oil, and they will balance each other out, and whatever differences are left, that is what then is paid in the local currency, which James Rickard says will immediately be converted into gold, which neutralizes the risk of currency volatility and also of balance of payment. Well, I have too much in the way of yuan, I don't want it. Fine, you can buy gold with it. And basically what he's saying is it's a de facto gold standard. Whatever they're doing, I think they will double or triple or quadruple their efforts right now as in essence, they really have been stabbed in the back, and it's very dirty what happens at these levels.
You ready for a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Part of me feels that that the system has to crash, and that they understand this. And all of the nations have been inflating. All of the nations have been accumulating gold. This Western system, I think, is getting close to reaching its end. And so, yeah, I mean, I do think the system needs to crash and reset. The question is, under what set of rules? And, you know, as an example, you know, everyone talks about this bond, the strength of the bond market, and points to that's the reason that the dollar is still supreme. It does have, obviously, the deepest markets, but you look at the 10-year Treasury as an example. The Fed lowered rates, you know, several weeks ago by 50 basis points, and since then the 10-year Treasury is up 60 basis points. And in other words, the bond market is throwing up to the idea of lowering rates again and going back to quantitative easing, because who wants to hold treasuries from a country that is punitive, a country in this case that is, you know, hypocritical by all of the, you know, the metrics of the global South, and at the same time, you know, is destroying the value of the currency through inflation. But this is just another example of lack of confidence, lack of trust. It's, you know, to them, we're not trustworthy at all. So why hold our treasuries? And so I think this will only accelerate the de-dollarization, and ultimately the demand or the desire to hold our treasuries, which only, you know, ultimately leads to much higher interest rates, which ultimately leads to resetting the system as stocks, bonds, real estate, you know, the insurance companies, the banks that are over leveraged and undercapitalized. All of these entities, all of this money is inversely correlated to a spike in interest rates. And I just think that we are doing everything we can to show the world that we're not trustworthy, and, you know, by our actions. So,
Well, clearly, I think that that's the case, and we've already shown that. So,
as far as precious metals, they did come up. Putin said, "Let's develop a BRICS metals exchange, which to challenge the West," which I think they will.
is it challenging the COMEX?
And they even said COMEX and LBMA, which are fraudulent. They will. I do believe that they will. They talked about the BRICS grain exchange and the BRICS precious metals exchange. And, you know, it's when you look at the amount of gold that's being bought right now, you got, of course, China and India gobbling it up, and Russia. At the same time, you have Poland, and remember, that's Adam Lipinski. We talked about him last week. He's the guy that said when someone shuts off the power to the global financial system, a system that's all based on electronic accounting records, well, this is why we own gold. Well, they've added more gold than anyone at well, the same as India, 18.7 tons. India bought more gold in the first 4 months of this year than they did all of last year, and brought it all home, and including 100 metric tons they've had at the New York Fed. Of course, Turkey is one of the big ones who's been accumulating gold, almost 15 tons. They are a NATO member who has fully applied, submitted their application to BRICS. That's very provocative in and of itself.
What are we up to right now on the BRICS nations that are actually accepted in?
Let's see here. There was a tidbit on that. I want to say 45 more countries have applied, of which I want to say 21. Let me see here. I think it's 21 have formally applied, and 25 have submitted their paperwork and informally applied. There it is. 47 countries have expressed interest in joining BRICS by the 2024 summit, with 26 formally applying, 21 expressing informal interest. The nations that have also signed up as partner countries, which is not a full member, it's kind of like an observation. That's Algeria, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, the first North American country, Cuba, Indonesia, or at least in the Northern Hemisphere, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Turkey, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. You know, and when countries like Vietnam and Malaysia sign up, you got to wonder what Japan is thinking. You know, all of these Asian countries are choosing sides.
And they're big holders of our paper right now.
Yeah,
Japan.
yeah. But look, the thing of it is this, and I'll use the Shanghai Metals Exchange as an example. When you buy a silver bar to trade it on the Shanghai Exchange, you have to buy it from one of the approved refineries. They laser etch a number on it, and it's attached directly to a certificate. They have trust.
Mhm.
Their system inspires trust, where ours is anything but. Where the commercial banks right now, between COMEX and the LBMA, are as short as much as 9 billion with the B ounces. And how the hell does that ever get paid off? It doesn't.
I think I sent you this week. I sent you the article with when we were talking about the hypothecation with the silver. I think it was 1 physical ounce of silver. Did I send that article?
Yeah, I think that's like over 405. Yeah, I think
450 digital or paper ounces are traded off of 1 ounce of actual silver.
Right. And this is what the Hunt brothers noticed in 1980. In 1980, the Hunt brothers realized that there were more contracts issued than bars behind it. They stood for delivery. And then the CME group changed the rules and said you can only be short a certain amount, or you can be short any amount, but you can only be long a certain amount. So all of those long positions had to be sold.
Right.
And that's what these exchanges will do before they actually blow up. They will change the rules they'll call it protect the integrity of the exchange, which is the same thing as a default.
Right. But the integrity, I think
Right.
anything.
There is no integrity.
Right, exactly.
There is no integrity. And so, it's just very obvious to me that this is a trend that will not stop and is accelerating and actually is an existential threat to some of these banks. I have a vision in my mind of one of these banks basically saying, I'm out, you guys can go down with the ship by yourself, and they will cover, which will set off a cascade. But look, man, with what we saw with the banks just in Lindsay, Oklahoma last week, which we talked about, is enough to should make anyone scared shitless. And the funny thing is that I've been doing a bunch of podcasts. I talked to very well-read people like Jay Martin today. He's incredibly well-read. He is prepared beyond belief, and he's very knowledgeable. He hadn't heard about Lindsay. Now, granted, he's in Vancouver, Canada. But the point of it is that this is something that is gaining no traction in the mainstream, and it's a trial balloon. They only had 7 million in uninsured assets, and 3.5 million are gone. So as we start to see problems, and it could stem from one of these commercial banks that fails to deliver and is sacrificed at the altar, or you see a massive run on one of these banks that triggers a bunch of bail-ins and money market gating action and whatnot. People in this country are not prepared for it, and I think that we are far from out of the woods. And when I see this kind of overt backstabbing, whatever you want to call it, it's espionage as far as I'm concerned. It's double crossing. It's gross.
Yeah.
I think it's only going to accelerate and accentuate the speed at which things start to unfold.
Yeah, the snowball, the domino. So the article that I sent you was silver prices. This is on last Thursday. Silver prices had experienced a significant increase, rising over 6% to exceed $33.60 per ounce. This unexpected surge has put 5 U.S. banks at risk of substantial financial losses due to their large short positions in the metal. What happened? The recent spike in silver prices has led to potential losses for these banks, estimated at billions of dollars, according to the report by the Silver Academy. So, and then it goes on to say later on, quote, this behavior undermines market integrity and could have far-reaching consequences for both the financial sector and the industries that depend on the stable silver prices.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so, in essence, these countries have understand now that the way to screw the West is to stand for delivery, which is completely and totally legal. And then at the same time, you open up the news and you see the group of G7 leaders have finalized an agreement to channel profits from frozen Russian assets into a $50 billion loan for the Ukraine.
You did almost say frozen.
Frozen.
Is that like a take on Frozen, or is it like a European?
It's just the way we say things, maybe in Minnesota. Frozen.
Or like the roof.
Roof.
It's the frozen roof.
Yeah.
You
have, cough drop
you have to hope your roof doesn't froze.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Did you answer the question?
Yeah, we answered that question.
Yes.
we answered it.
So
So
I have some questions also.
the BRICS
from,
they're going to develop a BRICS precious metals exchange, which will set the price. And this fraudulent, fractured, fractional reserve price, in essence, that is 90% naked paper, will come to an end, and you will see real price settling. And we don't know what the real price is for gold and silver, because as all asset prices have accentuated in the low interest environment and easy money environment that has been the last 15 years, these monetary metals, which they want us to believe are just, pieces of rock that has really lost its appeal, they've stepped on it. And so we don't know the real price yet. When you see the amount of gold that is being accumulated by the central banks, there is no question but that it is a monetary asset, and is one that the biggest money in the world looks at that way.
No, but I mean, last week on Tuesday, I think, was the first time that we had gone over 35 an ounce in silver. And of course, they took it down. I think it was just the following day they took it down a decent amount.
We just answered that question.
And we've come back. I mean, today silver was fairly strong in a market that looked a little bit weak, and it looked like they were waiting for some tech information. Today, again, gold looks sensational again today.
We've been saying, what did we say last week? Every time they knock it down, the strength, the resiliency, the demand globally is off the chart. And this is coming from the central banks. And they look at every time we're foolish enough to suppress the paper price, it's a subsidy for them. It's a gift.
Yeah. So I know that when we were on yesterday, you and I were together in the afternoon, and you actually wanted to sing "Happy Birthday" to my client.
I'm not yet. Priscilla,
well, we can wish you a happy birthday, and
he listens
to. By the way,
I've seen him sing.
No.
Yes, I have.
Yes, you have.
Rapper's Delight.
Yes, you have. But that's
in front of about 500 people, mind you.
Different venue. He's no stranger to welching. He did so on our fantasy.
Oh, bullshit.
For 7 months.
I wore the dress, and he's in last place right now. He's going to be wearing the dress. What happens to the gold price? Look, I think you could argue, Jerry, that gold in many respects has replaced by many of these countries the treasury, the demand to hold treasury. Again, an asset, yes, that is liquid, but you can see the global south is far more interested in holding and settling in treasuries, an asset that has doubled the performance of the 10-year treasury for the past 25 years and carries no counterparty risk. At the same time, the flood of treasury issuance and money creation in this country, along with its weaponization, along with the realization that if you end up on the wrong side of the U.S. in any respect, that they'll just take it from you. And then they'll give it to a country perhaps you're in the midst of a war against. And this is the glue that is solidifying, the drive, the BRICS entire drive to separate from the West or to reduce dependency on the West. So I don't think that they'll stop at a certain percentage. In fact, I think they will look at gold much to the same way they did U.S. treasuries. And I think it will continue to outperform. I think thinking traditionally is not the way to navigate. You have to think in a manner that is completely unconventional. And when you see what the West just did in trying to be transparent, and then we screw them at the 12th hour, we being the West, the big money banks that comprise the BIS in Switzerland, they'll just continue to pull away all they can and not be reliant on our treasuries. And when you think about other things that you can hold that have liquidity, that have demand, that have no counterparty risk, gold is the perfect vehicle to replace the treasury. So I wouldn't worry about that. And at the same time, all of this game that we've seen has been completely void of American participation. So wait until that happens. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about that.
And Eric, I'm going to get to your question in just a minute, because I'm actually laughing reading it. But this actually comes from one of my clients, Ryan.
Yeah, leave that question.
Yeah, leave that question.
It's aggravating.
Ryan, extremely loyal. This guy has been buying almost every single week. And so his question is, he sold a classic Bronco and he'd like to invest a portion of it in metal. About $13,000 he's looking to invest. He always considered the Bronco to be, quote, like gold. So his concern is about the chance that the metal in his IRA could or would be unavailable or worse, stolen by the government. It leaves him to thinking that by taking physical delivery of a portion of it, which would be a taxable event, doing it now today's spot versus taxation at tomorrow, would that make sense?
I don't have a problem with it. You also have to figure in the 10% penalty if you're under
Yes,
59
he's
and a
under
half.
59 and a half.
But, you know, I mean, I've always marched to my own beat. And in 2009, there was a bill that made it to the House floor after the great financial crisis. And the bill was, if this happens again, we take everyone's IRAs, we convert them into basically an annuity backed completely by treasuries. And you would inject trillions of dollars into the treasury market. You would stabilize the interest rates. It would be your patriotic duty. It was vetoed. It didn't make it past that. But to me, the genie kind of crept out of the bottle. I actually cashed my IRA out, and I paid a penalty, and I paid the taxes, and it was the wrong decision, but I take accountability for it, and I'd never look back. So sometimes peace of mind is your best asset. And what he says about taxes going higher, I mean, if Kamala wins, taxes will go much higher. And in an environment that, we are so indebted and have lost all fiscal sanity, getting more and more and more indebted by the day. Yeah, desperate governments do desperate things. Could it happen? Sure. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. So I don't have a problem with that. That is the primary feature in my mind, the primary benefit of the precious metals IRA is the ability to take possession,
Correct.
Even if it's a taxable
No
event.
counterparty risk.
Let's deal with this question because it really aggravates me. And I read something else too, someone saying similar to that giving me shit because I say that, premiums are only going to go higher and they're not going to go lower. And, I guess it's a no-win situation to try and be truthful about that kind of stuff. But
Well, before you even step on that, before you even go to that, right before we went live,
I
you
saw,
heard me on the
I
couch.
saw Britannias, no kangaroos, no.
I mean, and that's our special.
Yeah.
That's our special of the week. The two that we had, I mean, in an insane amount of inventory are now gone.
We had what, 40, 50,000?
Over, more,
right?
Yeah, and they're gone.
And we have other stuff coming in from other places.
Yeah.
But
and by the way, our distribution is much, much greater than I think most. So, we definitely have insane relationships about getting our inventories. And this is still the situation that we're put in.
yeah, I mean, when you're doing between 75 to $100 million in sales a month, and I'm just one company, I'm not the biggest. I mean, AppMax, they're huge. Oh, yeah, well, I'd like to think that, but you got AppMax, JM, SD, Money Metals. You got good companies out there that all have big inventories. And so say that you got, I don't know, $500 million to $1 billion in inventory in all of those companies I just mentioned, ours included. And, when it's gone, it's gone. And I get it. I understand why people say this. They see it online. It's plentiful. It's there. But what is plentiful? I mean, what is plentiful?
Well,
and
if
that's
it's
the
plentiful,
thing.
why are
People
we
lack
running into a
perspective.
deficit? Why are we 4 years running into a deficit?
That's a good point. And it's a 220 million ounce shortfall again this year between supply and demand. But what they're saying as well, YouTubers are saying that there's plenty of it. But what is plenty? I think these people lack perspective. And if you do, if between, I'll just simply say this, that if $2 billion came into this market, there would be nothing left in the United States, period. Nothing in 24 hours. Yeah, we would continue to purchase and try and get things in. The system hasn't broken down yet, but it will ultimately, I think, be a great challenge when you realize that less than 1% of the public is invested in precious metals, period.
Well, we always talk about how much of metals is owned by individuals. So
right. Well, look, okay, well, that was good. And we're going to bring in a few minutes the Silver Slayer to talk with us too. He's a great guy with a great perspective, and you guys can all ask him some questions as well. Any suggestions for novice silver stackers who purchase from local coin stores who have limited capability to help those buyers rebalance to gold in the future? I mean, we can always help you regardless of where you bought it from. It's never a bad idea to make a relationship with your with your local coin stores at all. And so it doesn't matter where you purchase it from. We're happy to help you. If you want to rebalance to gold at some point, which has always been kind of the playbook, we're happy to help you do that. Let's take one or two more, and then we'll bring Slayer in.
All right. What's that?
The interest rate for the overnight, isn't that the indicator? Well, you're talking about the repo market, and it's been spiking towards the end of the month, each month, and then resetting, kind of spiking because of the treasury issuance. So the banks have to put out all of this money to buy the treasuries, and so they don't have as much to give to the repo market for overnight loans, and so the rates spike. You're also seeing what I think will continue to increase the overnight leasing rate or lending rate is that the BTFP ends the day after the election, which they're sucking between quantitative tightening and sucking money out of the industry or out of the system through ending of these programs. We're getting to that overnight lending rate going higher. That's what we saw in 2019. The Fed came in and goosed the system. It fixed it. Same thing happened in 2020. Same thing happened when the banks were failing last April, and that's what the BTFP was, and it expires again the day after the election. They could pull the rug on the whole system if they wanted to, but it is a good indicator of trouble. Oh,
Shoot, what was that? Oh, that was, what happened there? Oh, yeah. Oh.
it is a good indicator of trouble brewing in the system. It's a good question. All right, one more, and then we're going to bring in Slayer. I'm concerned about the chance that the metal in my IRA to become unavailable still in Cascade. Yeah, again, I don't have a problem with that.
That's
I don't.
Ryan.
Oh, Ryan, yeah, man. Did we already answer that?
Yeah, that's him. That's him. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, I don't have a problem with it, brother. John, give us one more, and then I'll bring in Slayer.
Oh, I got one too. This one was about glint. There's something about glint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that.
Right. Okay. This was actually about the relationship between Miles Franklin and Glint, but I think we should save that.
Yeah, we'll wait till next week
Yeah.
because we're announcing it next week.
Okay, good.
With the bank shorting silver, are the main, 1,000% they're the main manipulators, 1,000%. And you know, Slayer and I have talked about this a lot. The amazing work that the silverwars.org, John Little, has done on showing and evidencing the amount of silver that is needed in high-tech weaponry. So the question you should ask backwards, why would these Western banks be short to that degree? The largest concentrated short position the COMEX has ever seen, it's in silver. Why? Because the people pulling the strings at the top, the military-industrial complex, needs silver in order to make high-tech weapons. And if it were to get too expensive and get too noticed instead of just brushed by as something that hasn't kept up, just as an industrial metal, then it would make it very difficult for them to fund both sides of all of these wars. So, yeah, it is the banks that are the main manipulators, 100%. I'm going to bring.
Oh, hold on, let me just answer that. So, John, Forest Hills. That's what part of
Show them your
Queens.
tattoo. Tattoo.
Yeah, no, I got it.
718.
I can't read too small. I'm not good. Can you see it?
Don't
Move
pull
the
something.
camera.
Don't pull something, man.
Yeah, it's there. I
Yeah,
promise.
sure
you.
it is.
I got that one in Amsterdam when he got the periodic table. You want to bring Slayer up?
You see the periodic table?
We all see it. I should have got it on my right arm. It would have been better.
Put them in.
All right, let's go.
Slayer, what's up, brother?
What's up?
What's up?
How are you, my
Good to
man?
see you guys. I'm
What's
good,
going
good.
on, my man?
Doing good. I'm doing. You like the hat?
Ah, there you go. Gold.
It's the thing. Is that I can't
Does
see
that
it.
make gold great again?
Make America
Oh,
great
that's
again.
okay. We have one. We have the make.
I have
great
make
again.
gold great again. Yeah.
And I got the Miles Franklin hat too.
Ah, that's worth a lot.
Yeah. So many people ask me, do we sell this stuff? Do we sell merch?
It could be. We could be.
We don't
We
sell.
need to.
I think
It
it's
is incredible how many
swag.
people ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should. We really should.
Listen, brother. Someone who's dedicated their life for a long time to silver. What do you think? What do you think the biggest issue will be for people who come to this party late, people who realize it late. What do you think?
They will be getting in for the wrong reasons. And that's what I worry about. A lot of people will probably lose money on silver. They will be hopping on the bandwagon just because their friend told them so, not understanding what its true value is. So as soon as it dips from a correction, they sell, just like with Bitcoin. And that's why I try to explain to people silver's true value, because once you understand silver's true value, you don't care what the price is. No matter who says that coin is worth what's irrelevant, because the value's inside the coin, but a lot of people don't understand that. So I feel like the people that will be coming in late to the party will probably be getting in just because they're trying to get rich real quick, right? And just like we saw that with Wall Street silver back in February 2021, everyone jumped on silver thinking they were going to get rich. And then as soon as it dropped down, a lot of people sold, and they, probably have resentment till this day.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm worried about is people just getting in for the wrong reasons, not understanding why we stack silver.
Well, you're a young guy, and that was one of the things that originally I was impressed by, and why I was so blown away by your acumen in the way that you're able to communicate this. So, what do your friends outside of this? I mean, what do people that are your age that outside of what you do for a profession, what do they say about silver? Is there any recognition at all, or is it just completely ignored?
Honestly, on my YouTube analytics, it shows my my age groups, and I think 90% of my audience is twice my age. It's like there's different categories. It's like 65 plus, which is my main. Then it's 45 to 55, which is my second. But those two groups take up almost 90%. And if I do see
interested into it, then as a young guy, what brought you into
my grandpa? My grandpa, he used to take me metal detecting every Christmas. He would give me some constitutional silver. So he planted the seed really early. But I do want to give it up to the silver stacking community on YouTube. Once I got, my name is Silver Slayer because my favorite silver channel, his name was Silver Slacker. This dude would unbox like thousands of ounces in just do unboxings. He was in real estate, so he's very, he's wealthy. But I caught on to the silver community, and I made my channel basically just wanting to show off cool coins I had. It was never to teach people. I just couldn't tell people in person for safety reasons. So I would just get an unboxing, show it. You could watch my first videos from back in 2016. It's very embarrassing, but you just see me, hey guys, check out this coin I got, and all the comments people would, they almost taught me. At first, I made videos and the audience would teach me, and then the roles kind of reversed as I got older. So yeah, but I got in basically just from my grandpa.
So getting back to what you were saying before, and I agree with you, I think there's going to be a lot of people that, just like in the stock market, just like like you said, that they'll jump in for the wrong reason. What do you think, Slayer? What is the true inherent value of silver today? Ballpark, and what's your rationale behind it?
No amount of fake money can equal or amount to something of real value. So it's really hard. I don't want to just say that without saying a price, because it is very, you see that a lot. Man, it's hard.
Let me rephrase the question. I think better
that
I rephrase it in this way, and it might be an easier way for you to kind of quantify. So we always talk about the silver gold ratio, and what normalization is 200-year average. At what point would Slayer start to convert some of the silver into gold?
Boom. Wow. I'm so glad you're the only other person. I've talked about this before. You're the only other person that has flipped it and thought about that. I'll ask my audience, what price would you throw in the towel at? Or have you ever thought about that? What price is too much? Or what price will you sell at? Is when it's 200? So I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know. I would never sell it all at once, but maybe when it's maybe when it's 200 or 300, I could sell a little bit and wait. And I think it's much more valuable than that, simply because, you know, it's use. And this goes farther than gold. Like back in ancient biblical days, the ratio was 2.5 to 1. It was 2.5 parts silver equals 1 part gold. And that was back when they thought silver was, they treated silver like magic, because it can purify water, right? It's the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity, electricity, light sensitivity. It responds to other elements like nothing else in the periodic table. So to them back then, silver was just as valuable as gold. You put silver in milk,
Magic
keeps the milk
beans,
fresh.
right?
Yeah. And then it wasn't, you know, for thousands of years, then it was 8 to 1, because that's the ratio it came out of the Earth's crust, until 1930. FDR got in office, and he basically single-handedly devalued silver. It was from 16 to 1. FDR got in office, 75 to 1 basically overnight, and it's never really gone back. But looking at like the ratio, I think the most accurate would be 7 to 1 when it comes out of the Earth's crust. And I think Andy's talked about that as well before.
Yep.
So
Well, I think that's one of the other things too, is we always talk about
Smart guy.
He sure is for a young kid.
Yeah.
And I don't mean kid in a derogatory word. I just mean I wish I was one. You know, we always talk about the 200-year average, but that also takes into effect and takes into account that it used to be a lot easier coming out of the ground. Like you always say, you know, the low-hanging fruit's gone.
Yeah.
So, you know, now it's much more difficult to mine, which is, again, with what Slayer's talking about, the utilization of silver is so plentiful, and we're still running a deficit now 4 years in a row. So when they say that there's plenty of silver around, you know,
Well,
I kind of have to.
Let's ask him. I mean, look, you're through my company, you're placing your own orders, and you see what inventories, like you see how big our inventory is, and you know, you and I have a very unique relationship. You and I have had a very transparent, open relationship, and I think, would you agree I mean, there are a lot of stories that people don't know. Would you say that's accurate? That you and I,
that is beyond accurate. Yeah.
To be completely straight with you on everything, right? So why don't you tell everyone, what do you think inventory is like, and are you surprised at how fast a big inventory dissipates?
Yeah. I mean, I've said this before. I think we'll be one of the last companies standing. You know, because we have the largest inventory. It is insane how we have. I think I counted 26 different types of like 10-ounce bars. Like it's insane, and it's not even on the price sheet. Like we have a massive inventory. A lot of people don't know about. But yeah, I've sold. I don't know how many. I don't want to go into numbers, but I've sold a decent amount of monster boxes, Eagles lately. And I've seen nowadays even it'll be like 1 to 7 day delay or something, which is insane just to think, you know, especially with someone like you that has so many connections. But I definitely think people should think about the business relationships they could build with us, because you have so many sources. Like you pulled up a $50 million order in 2 days, twice. Nobody else in this world could pull off that, you know. And that's not even the most important thing. It's she trusted you with $50 million. That's the most important thing about that situation.
And that's how Slayer and I met. I got a call,
which is why,
saying that, you know, this guy's saying there's not a chance in hell that could be done. And I called him and immediately became friendly with him and realized he was different. And now that you've been able to look into, you know, behind the hood, you understand. But you know, it's very disconcerting when you try and say the right thing and do the right thing, and people say, "Oh, you're full of shit." It's everywhere. And I think they lack perspective, I guess, is what I'm. You know, when you're trying to manage an inventory that is between $80 and $100 million or more, and it's constantly rotating. Yeah, it's always been available, but it's becoming harder and harder and harder and harder to make it work. It really is. It's a full-time job for sure in and of itself. Well, I appreciate that. So, you know, what would you tell people watching right now? What would you tell people is the main reason that you're holding silver? Is it for your daughter? Is it for you? Is it to make money? And are you buying it every 2 weeks like we talked about?
I do now. I do now, actually. I didn't for a while. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't, but I have been. I've been buying Eagles lately. I just actually got mine yesterday. Those things are beautiful, man. I was
Yeah,
just anyway, Eagles are I used to lack on Eagles. I used to think they weren't that, but man, I was looking at these Eagles yesterday and they are beautiful coins. But anyways, to get back to your question, I think it's just a way for me to park my money, hard-earned money, into something that holds its value. Like, when I heard this metaphor, it clicked. So back in the day, a walking Liberty $50 could get you a gallon of gas, because you would go to the store clerk, hand the store clerk the walking Liberty, 50 cents, get you a gallon of gas. But when you gave him that 50-cent coin, there was silver inside of it. Nowadays, if I went through, like a portal, and I ended up in today's day and age, and all I had in my pocket was still that coin, I could still get myself a gallon of gas. Gas isn't 50 cents, but I could take that coin, walk to my local coin shop, sell it for $20, and get myself a couple gallons.
Gallons of gas, and that's a very good point.
Yeah.
It's
timeless.
that keeps up, even though it doesn't always move linear over time. It sure does.
Well, again, it's the purchasing power that we always talk about. So I have a question. So clearly, you're quite a bit younger than both Andy and myself. Certainly a lot younger than Andy. You and I are probably a lot closer in age. What would you say to folks of your generation as to why? Why buy silver now, and what benefits does it have for your age, your age demographic?
Man, my name is Silver Slayer for a reason, honestly. Like, I didn't pick silver out of a hat. My name isn't Gold Guy. It's not Bitcoin Boy.
Ask your mom why she named you Silver Slayer, by the way.
But silver is unique. Not only because I talked about the magical side of things. Like, I'm writing a book right now called Silver's the New Gold. And it's simply because silver has not only is it valuable in terms of like what it can bring to the table, but also the monetary side of things on top of the industrial side gives it this like dual nature, this dual role, best of both worlds. So if I'm looking at silver right now, it's $34 something. To really imagine how much an ounce of silver is worth compared to an ounce of gold that's sitting at like 2,700 something, where silver has 2,700 times more value uses, it only makes sense, in my opinion, that silver will take on a life of its own, regardless of what gold's doing, regardless of what the stock market is doing, regardless of what the dollar index is doing, because it has so many different uses alongside that. Not just the monetary perspective, which a lot of people only look at. They'll look at silver's value from just the same perspective of gold, not realizing that we're in a 770 million ounce deficit in the last 4 years. And it's not just that. That's only on paper with the Silver Institute's numbers. We're not even talking about military and aerospace that don't even incorporate their numbers anymore. And on top of that, Samsung's new batteries. As we advance into new digital technological era, we're going to find more and more and more uses, but there's less and less of it. So I'm sitting here looking at silver at $34, and when people say, "Oh, it's too pricey," I'm like, man, you will be wishing you could buy a time machine and go back to today's day and age when you can pay $34 for an ounce of silver.
Well, it's funny you say that, Slayer, because last week we were talking, and I said that I think it's one of the reasons why we should also look at copper in terms of mirroring effect of it, because of the use of copper being that it's that being the utility metal. I agree with you. Everything you just said, I couldn't agree with you more.
You got a question there, brother.
Yeah. Would you consider well transfer swap when 80? You want to say 15-1? Yeah, I know some people that, playing the gold to silver ratio is dangerous because you have to do it with bullion so you don't lose out on the premiums and all that. But going from 80-1 to 15-1 would, obviously be That'd be pretty nice, right? 15, only having 15 ounces of silver to get a full ounce of gold, and then swap it back if it moves. But I don't know. That's I can't really get into that because the ratios don't move fast enough, in
Well,
my
but
opinion.
see, now you're showing your age, because back in 2010, I did the first video I did was with BRICS Clear, and it was in
Yeah.
2010, and I called him up. I said, Bix, I said, man, you know, the ratio is 85-1. It's the second time by my estimation, the second time in human history it had been that high. And so we did a video telling people to sell their gold. We would sell it to the market and they get 85 ounces in silver back. Now you're right, the premiums involved slant that a little bit, but in theory, 1 ounce of gold bought you 85 ounces of silver. And it was 7 months later in mid 2011 where we saw 37-1. So in 7 months, it went from 85-1 to 37-1, just below its 200-year average of the mid 40s. And that's how fast it can happen.
Yeah.
So, but if, you know, I think her point is, if I would venture to say, if Shannon has the ability to hang on to it to 15-1, I would be impressed, because you get down into that level where it's now 40-30-1. There's going to be a lot of people telling you switch it to gold. And I don't think that you have to switch all your silver to gold. Silver has value in and of itself, but someone in there talked about it. You know, you could have $100,000 worth of gold is less than 40 ounces, and you know, weighs just 1.5 pounds or whatever. And whereas 100,000 is going to weigh over 100 pounds, and you know, a lot more actually. It's 120 or more, 140. But anyways, no, I think it's a valid point. It's a good question. I think people should be aware of it, because potentially it is the trade of a generation.
Yeah. Yeah, I always mention that as well. You know, like you could fit $100,000 of gold in 2 hands, but with silver, it's a lot of space. So yeah, gold. I mean, there is some benefits with gold. I mean, I invest in gold too. I just think there's more opportunity with silver. But also, did you know? I don't know if you guys knew about this or anyone in the chat. Silver is at all-time highs right now, currently, in the African rand, the Russian ruble, the Indian rupee, the Canadian dollar, and the Australian dollar, and almost at all-time highs in the euro as we speak right now. The only currency, well, a couple others like the Japanese yen, the only currency where silver isn't at all-time highs right now is the US dollar.
And,
a lot of people don't know about that.
It's interesting. It's kind of following the same pattern gold did. Gold broke out against all of those currencies before it did in dollars. And, you know, gold was always bumping its head up against resistance before it broke through, just like silver is doing. Do you know much about technical analysis at all?
Not really. I'll cover it on my channel. Like I'll read through a lot of them. But I tell people, you know, I don't.
I guess I don't either, other than to say a cup and handle formation is one of the most bullish formations in technical analysis, and let alone a 40-year cup and handle formation. Silver. There's no question that it is strong. One of the guys that I deal with a lot down here in Florida, his partner is an old school technical analyst, and he basically says, he said, you said, Andy, that if it gets above $35, that it will break out. He says that's the wrong question. He says, I mean, the real question, the real answer is that we are in a bull market, and it will get through $35 by every measurement. Technically, it is in a bull phase right now, and so once it does get above $35, there's virtually nothing to stop it between there and $50. I'm not a big, I've always felt that technical analysis was somewhat flawed in a market that is rigged, if you will. So, Richard, Richard Ansel.
What's doing, Richard?
Hey, Richard. Yeah, on a monthly chart, again, it's breaking out, and even from I believe a head and shoulders pattern within a rising wedge, I want to say. So, anyways, I'm probably the wrong person to even be going down that line, but from a technical perspective, from a logical perspective, from a perspective of all the metal that's being drained out of the vaults, from every perspective, what India is doing, what Russia is doing, what China is doing, there's no question but that they're on to the suppression gig, and this is how they intend on playing the market. I think,
you know, 41 ratio right now puts us roughly at around 70, but that's assuming that gold remains stagnant.
Right. Yeah.
If gold continues its trajectory up, then, you know, we're talking about a substantial amount more in the same time frame. So, you know, that's what we have to look at. We always look at it at a stagnant pace, but it's not. Gold's been continuously moving higher. And I mean, even today, I think we were, I don't know if the futures touched on 2,800 tonight, but I know it was certainly getting there.
The question that was just asked, I'm going to show a picture here in a second. The question is, well, if there's a silver shortage, why isn't it reflecting in the price? And now I will share my screen here.
COMEX.
And just
did you get that picture of I sent you of Putin revealing the new BRICS bill, or the mock-up version?
That is in my opinion, I can't do it. Hang on.
Wow.
In my opinion, that is it's not real. I mean, it's kind of a mock-up.
Right. Yeah, it's a mock-up. Yeah. But
right, so let me answer that question. And this is from the work of this Silver silverwars.org.
Yeah.
John Little. So this is from a subcommittee hearing. You can see the date right here. Ooh, let's get rid of that. Get out of there. You can see this date right here. October 14th, 1942, S.2768. I've Googled it. It pops right up. You can too. The present consumption of silver for war purposes is at the rate of about 100 million ounces a year and is growing rapidly. According to the War Production Board, it is only a matter of months before war demands will have increased sufficiently to require at least 200 million ounces per year. So that's in 1942. If we look at the numbers here that the Silver Institute publishes, here are the demand numbers, and they're showing a 265 million ounce shortfall, but here are the industrial demand, 9%, electrical and electronics, 9%, of which photovoltaics, that's solar panels, 20%, brazing alloys and solders, 3, other industrial, 9, photography, jewelry, silverware. Where is military? And if we look at this, here is why it is happening. This is the answer. And the bigger question is why, and if they omit military from the supply-demand numbers, this might answer why right here. The red line are the big 4 short positions, all commercial banks on COMEX. The green are the big 8 combined, the 4 plus the other 4. So you have 8 banks right now that hold the largest short position here in any commodity traded on the COMEX market. Interestingly enough, platinum, gold, and palladium are 2, 3, and 4. But look at crude oil way down here. You know, so those are short positions, and this is what those players are doing with it. Ooh, why did that happen?
That was weird.
This is what they're doing. This is the Western vaults. This is the LBMA, where, you know, right here, that's pretty much the lowest position that they've had, and they came out and said right now the lowest position they've ever had since they've been recording records. And of this 800 million on the LBMA, 500 belongs to the ETF. So there's 300 million. They just delivered 8% of that 300 million in August. So this is why the price is not reflected, because you have 8 stupid banks holding down the price. But what will break that is the coordination, the motivation, and the sophistication of these countries, in particular China, Russia, and India, who are on a massive buying spree. What did Sean Kun tell us, the head of Dolly Varden? What did he tell us about what China is doing around the globe?
Oh, how they're buying up all the silver and yep.
So they're going directly to the miners and disintermediating the markets and the commercial banks and buying unrefined silver at double what the West will pay for it and refining it in China.
Do you think with the new BRICS exchange, that's when they could revalue it?
100%. I think the only reason they're not bitching is because they're laughing instead of bitching, because we're stupid enough to do it. They're smart enough and now coordinated enough to, in a methodical fashion, not throw everything at it and end the party, but do it just enough in a methodical fashion to drain the exchanges. And then once those exchanges are exposed as being a fraud, that's when the exchanges in the East will take over for price setting. In the past 6 months, the cumulative volume of the Shanghai Metals Exchange and the Shanghai Futures Exchange has exceeded that of the COMEX. It's up about 500 or 600% in volume, and now COMEX is number 3 in terms of volume, behind first the LBMA, 2 the Shanghai, and 3 COMEX. Their exchanges are beginning to become more legitimate as well.
So hey, Jay. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Slayer.
So I've been really diving deep into the silver shortage, as you would call it, since like 2019. But what really stood out to me was when I started covering John Forrest Little's work about military. I think military was the missing puzzle piece that put everything together. Like when he went over the on silverwars.org, went over the military industrial complex, or looking at the Defense Department and why, I guess that gave the motive, of 11,000 ounces of silver in some torpedoes, 500 ounces in a Tomahawk missile, putting these things into perspective with all the wars going on. I think that really was the missing puzzle piece that made everything make a little more sense. Especially like you guys should go check out silverwars.org. It has a timeline. It shows all the numbers. It shows the year they stopped reporting it. It shows date by date, all these different things.
He's a hell of a researcher. He truly
yeah.
This is a question that I like a lot, Vincent, in that if you go back and look at when markets have collapsed, like in March of 2020, 08, or even when wars break out during Desert Storm, or any of these events where one is supposed to think that the price of metal should go higher, very often it doesn't. In fact, it goes the other way. Now, the conventional wisdom, especially in market crashes as well, there's great liquidity in metals, and with all of the margin debt and whatnot, it's the most liquid thing. They sell it, they throw out the baby with the bathwater, they sell it to cover their positions. I don't believe that. I think that's bullshit. I think it is Jim Sinclair, God rest his soul, he used to call it MOP, M-O-P, management of perception economics. In other words, they're managing perception. And if silver and gold were to spike immediately in the face of a market sell-off, well, it only would accentuate that sell-off. But this is the kind of environment when you keep messing with Mother Nature, you really piss her off. And at some point, Mother Nature gets her pound of flesh. So it may not happen immediately. That's what logic would tell you should happen. Yes.
The knee-jerk. Yeah.
But don't sell if it goes down, because in 2020, when the market crashed, silver went down to $12, and you couldn't find an ounce of silver anywhere in North America without a substantial delivery delay and paying $20 an ounce. Right. So you were paying an $8 premium. The same thing happened in 2008 when silver went from 20, what did it go, from 21 to 9. It lost 60%, and every major mint across the globe was out of product. The US, Canada, Austria, Australia, South Africa. The Rand Mint sold out of product for the first time ever.
What happened to premiums at the same time?
Well, there was nothing to get. In fact, if it weren't for David Morgan calling me and saying, I got these friends in Washington called Pyromet. They've been in the medical device industry forever. They got all this silver. They want to make bars. They were the ugliest freaking bars you've ever seen in your life.
They were silver bars.
But they didn't even say silver. They said 100 ounces. That's it.
Right.
But he saved the industry for a few months. And about, 3-4 months into it, when everyone was shut down across the globe, we were getting phone calls from distributors in Ireland saying, I can't buy anything from Germany or Switzerland. We have an account at Delaware Depository. You can deliver it there. We'll take it. I said, man, I can't get anything. So when they finally came back online, it was 100% premiums, $9 silver, $17 or $18 Eagles or Maple Leafs, and an 8 to 12 week delivery delay, and you paid up front. Right. That's how fast it happened. And it happened like that. But then it was all at once. It was within a week, it disappeared. So, Vincent, don't be surprised if it sold off. Don't dump it. It's just managing the perception. But at some point, we're going to wake up on a Monday morning and we're going to see fireworks in the market, and it's going to center around, I think, the inability to deliver in London or on the COMEX, and all hell's going to break loose at that point.
Yeah.
So Jay, that's Priscilla's husband. So
Hi, Priscilla.
Jay,
and
happy
hi,
birthday
Jay.
to Priscilla. All right. So if silver hits triple digits, what happens to the dollar? How much will it hit?
I mean, I don't know that that's, I think it would be more valid to say if gold hits 5,000, because again, and I don't mean to, step on this so much, but silver has not, nobody knows what the real price of silver is because it has not been allowed to find equilibrium. In a market where 8 banks between COMEX and London can be short up to 9 billion ounces, and that doesn't even include the naked short position on SLV and other ETFs. The distortions that have been created in an effort to make silver inexpensive and not demanded so that the big money can make weapons is extraordinary. And it is coming to an end because these countries never had the wherewithal or the desire or really the coordination to do this. And they're beating us.
Well, that brings me to...
So I think, I don't mean to interrupt. Hang on one second. I just think that gold to me is a better example. You put gold at 5,000, McDonald's hamburger is $9, $8, because that's a better reflection of massive inflation in the system. And who knows how high silver will be. And gold should be higher when you're talking inflation adjusted, but it's accentuated itself to more fair value, at least for where we are now, than silver. But, again, all of these things are in the face of a falling dollar. So you can expect food to go much higher regardless.
Well, so John actually wrote in and asked that what is the amount of gold on the COMEX, and is it suppressed like silver? With a follow-up question of, are the BRICS storage facilities audited to verify both their inventory and their segregation?
Jay, do you know how much gold is on COMEX right now? You pull that up.
Me? Oh, let me see.
Our BRICS facilities are definitely
27.77.
How much?
$2,777.
No. How much gold in the?
How much? Let me see.
Actually combined.
Yeah. And then the third question was Titleist Pro V1s or Callaway Chrome Softs? You're a Pro V.
I like the Pro V, but I honestly think the Chrome Soft is every bit as good of a ball. I mean, I played it. I like the 3 red line or the 3 lines, but the balls that I just got that say Miles Franklin on it are Pro V. I like the Pro V, but in reality,
Miles Franklin logo is too small.
He's a better golfer than I am, and he's proven that you can use these crummy balls and still beat me.
Well, because that's because they sink just as fast as the Pro V1s, but they're half.
Yesterday we played a little bit, and I almost had them. Almost lost by 3 in 9 holes.
We only played 3 holes.
No, we played 9.
You played 9 holes?
No, we played in about 30 minutes.
You told me that you were just
It wasn't.
Oops. Ixnay.
That's my boss.
Yeah. She thinks she's the boss. We let her believe that. That's all right.
I am your boss.
Yeah.
Want to come say hi?
No.
Why not? Chicken.
All right. Did you answer the BRICS storage question?
Yeah, it's audited.
And segregation?
100%
Does
segregated.
BRICS allow you to take do they take photographs annually?
No.
Will they allow?
No.
I know IDS does. They allow 1 photo a year, I think.
No, BRICS will not. They've done it. Actually, they have.
Inventory.
EDC has done it, but BRICS does not.
Got it.
I don't know how many ounces are on COMEX.
Yeah, I can't find like a good source.
That's a good question.
So in 1989,
How much was one?
in 1989, I started in February of 90. He started it about 6 months earlier in 89, and I want to say probably right around $300 an ounce. When my wife moved from Los Angeles and came into my life, gold was $252 an ounce, and that would have been roughly 2002. It was $252 an ounce. So when you talk about an asset that doesn't pay any interest, gold is up tenfold, over 11-fold. And and has outpaced since that time just about every asset, but it goes unnoticed. So yeah, it's an asset that keeps pace with inflation. And one of the things that I have talked about, and for the privilege of those who didn't hear it, I did an interview. I do interviews with Jason Cousins and Glint on the Resilient Compass podcast, and we interviewed a member of parliament and in the banking industry in London. He said, Andy, money creation in the US has been running 7% for 10 years. Now, I think that's light, but let's just go with it. Money creation is the definition of inflation, period. I mean, it is an inflating of the money supply. It is not prices rising. That's a symptom of it. So if we take that 7% money creation and realize that the law of 70 seconds is mathematical law, you take interest divided into 72, tells you how long before your principal doubles. That's why they would used to put credit card rates starting at 18%, and times 4 is 72. You don't pay anything but the minimum interest, your principal doubles. So anyways, at 7% interest over 10 years, or 7% money creation over 10 years, that's a double. Or in other words, the value of the dollar was twice of what it was worth today 10 years ago. 10 years ago, gold was $1,200 an ounce. Today it's 27 and change. So did gold go up by a double plus, or did the dollar fall by a double plus? And history has proven it is the dollar falling. And this is why you see silver, according to Slayer's remark, which is true, at all-time highs against the rupee and the rand and the Australian dollar and the Canadian dollar, because the dollar's inordinate strength blunts the real value of these commodities. The rest of the world is understanding it much better than we are.
Yeah. Ooh.
Morgan
Good
Silver
question.
Dollar. Morgan Silver Dollar by far is my favorite. In fact, one of the ways that I met all the guys here, Kevin and I play golf 2 days a week with about 40 guys, and each week, you usually get paired up with someone different, and it's 2-man teams and 4 guys in a group. And always the guy on my team, I'd give him a Morgan Silver Dollar to mark their ball. And now everyone in the club has Morgan Silver Dollars. But to me, Morgan Silver Dollar is the most iconic coin to own. It's a great conversation piece. They're beautiful coins, a true piece of Americana.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that, Jay?
Yeah, I actually have the 100-year anniversary the 2021 MS70 Morgan Silver Dollar. I would never buy MS70 type coins nowadays, but this one is, it's different. It's, it's a Morgan in pristine condition. So yeah, but I don't know, like, I love Morgans. I think probably, I don't know, when it comes to old stuff, I like Mercury dimes a lot. Mercury, I don't know why, something about Mercury dimes, I just love them. But
well, I like them too because no one's ever seen them before. People are like, "Wow, that's neat."
Yeah.
Anything that is unusual that people have never seen, the Mercury dime is a good one.
The bar recorders also ones
Barber halves. Yeah.
Or the Franklin half dollars are cool.
Yeah,
But
I just sold some of those, Franklin.
I gotta tell you, I still like the fills and the fact that it's the only coin out there without the rigid sides, I like it. Smooth side on the fills. One of those things that are pretty cool about them.
So we'll take a couple more questions. I know it's going late. I mean, we'll keep going if people want us to, but
Peace dollars too.
yeah, find another question or two there, lady.
So I had a question while we're looking for the question, and this one we get asked a lot, and I think that it's a very, very difficult for me to answer. Is I have X amount of dollars in my bank account, in my brokerage account, in my IRA. How much money should I put in precious metals?
How much money? I would work backwards. Instead of that, I would say, what exposure do you want to a country that is 36 trillion in the hole, on top of close to 200 trillion in unfunded liabilities, a country that is losing its prestige around the world because of our behavior and weaponizing of the treasury market and of the dollar, and because of our fiscal irresponsibility, creating 100,000 in debt per second. A country that has lost or had its culture whitewashed right out from under us. God willing that President Trump takes office, not for any other reason than to go back to the ideals that made this country great, to reestablish credibility in the Justice Department, in the FBI, in our electoral system, in our judicial system, in everything that made this country what it was, the nuclear family, even as crazy as that sounds, and respect, holding a door for a woman, saying, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and doing the things that made this country great. You don't have to agree, but you can certainly be respectful, and respect is something that's really out the window. And so I don't know. I just think that these are the things that to me are most important, and God willing, we see a change.
But I think the most important thing is you need, no matter what it is, you need to be comfortable with what you're doing. And as Andy always says, listen to your gut.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got off thought there. So I'd work backwards from there. What exposure do you want to that? And then watch The Great Taking with David Rogers Webb, where all of these assets that you think are yours, due to change in the Universal Commercial Code, you're subordinate in ownership rights if there's a problem. And it was challenged during the financial crisis. JP Morgan won. David Rogers Webb, The Great Taking. Go to YouTube and
we should put a link up. Maybe what we'll do is we'll figure out how to put a link up for that, because I know that there's like a PDF on it.
And there is a PDF. It's for free, but he also narrates it himself on YouTube. It's about an hour.
Yeah.
I know someone was asking before I jumped on about precious metals taxation. I interviewed JP Cortez from Sound Money Defense League, where he literally, travels all 50 states, and he sent me a link that shows updated information on each and every state. I could link it. It's very helpful. It's very helpful, especially with someone like us, but also for people who want updated information on their state or what the sales tax is, or so I could link it in like the chat or something if you wanted me to.
That would be great. And Logan, Minnesota, my home state, even though I live in Florida now, they do things really stupid. And one of which is taxation on metals, but only in legal tender coins. So what's ironic is that you'd be taxed at 7% if you tried to buy American Eagles or pre-65 dimes or whatnot. But if you buy a silver bar or silver round, like a Buffalo round, you're not taxed. In other words, a better way to understand it is look at the Royal Canadian Mint. They're one of the mints that make bars and coins. So they make a 1 ounce gold bar and a 1 ounce gold maple leaf. Same purity of gold, same amount of gold, one in the form of a coin, one in the form of a bar. The bar is not taxed. The gold and silver maple leaf are taxed. So you don't have to leave the state to do it. Just buy Buffalo rounds or 10 ounce bars or whatnot, and no sales tax. I would buy the Buffalo rounds if I was in that position, simply because it gives you the greatest utility without having to pay the tax or drive out of the state to go to a state like North Dakota or Wisconsin that don't charge. And Wisconsin used to charge sales tax. They don't anymore. A lot of states are reversing course on that. New Jersey just wrote that into law. It doesn't go into effect till January 1, but lots of states.
And then you get Kentucky.
But Kentucky is just baffling.
You heard about that, Slayer?
No.
Well, Kentucky Kentucky passed new legislation to basically get rid of the state sales tax on metals. And then the governor, then the governor actually objected to it and said, no, we're going to keep the sales tax on it, because if you can afford to buy gold, you can afford to pay tax on it.
That's insane.
Comment that he had.
He tried to override.
He did. He overrode. It went to the Supreme Court, or one of the courts in Kentucky, where the courts found, I think it was the state's attorney general or whoever it was, said no. It is a law. You cannot charge sales tax, and that's it. It was a non-revenue bill, or not? No, it was a non-spending bill, which he only has the veto power for. And he said it doesn't make a difference. And he actually has declared that the Department of Treasury, Department of Revenue, to collect sales tax.
Puts us in a bad position.
Horrible. Yeah. I just did a sale today in Kentucky, and unfortunately,
I hate
for us,
so bad.
Correct, but the law is there is no sales tax on precious metals.
One of the guys that we golf with here, he's from Kentucky, Big Landon. He's about 10 feet tall.
Literally.
And he said to me, yeah, he's the only governor that he's ever seen in his life that went to the Kentucky Derby and was booed by the crowd.
Yeah.
That's
Can you imagine what I look like? I mean, I look,
Next to him.
I mean,
Oh,
I know.
We have that picture.
Yeah, with him and his brother. His
Yeah.
brother's bigger than he is.
Yeah.
And he's like,
when I
70.
was talking to JP, he said that he's noticed the past year or so, and he said with politics, nobody wants to go against the grain. So he said as more states have been opening up and allowing this, he's starting to see this like influx of other states actually saying, okay, we'll do this. But it is very interesting. Like California, you have to buy above $2,000,
Yeah.
or it's all these weird things. So I do
And
recommend people check that out.
You would think, Slayer, that the less you're spending, that you're
Yeah.
not going to pay tax on it.
No, they
But
screw,
it's not.
They screw the
Right.
people who are underprivileged and don't have as much money, and they're the people that should be saving. And it doesn't matter the amount.
Correct.
It doesn't matter the amount. It's the law of compounding.
But
It's
again,
over and
nobody
over
should
and
be
over.
paying tax on metals in general.
Right, on money,
It's just, it shouldn't be. It's just not the way it is.
We will talk about platinum in a moment, because my last two purchases have been Platinum Eagles. But a monster box, you never have to do anything. If you keep coins inside of the tubes that they come in those boxes, they will last forever in pristine condition. Silver oxidizes. So if you take silver and expose it, here, I'll show you what I mean.
And
That's good.
what's your thought, Andy, on the value of a monster box, strapped versus unstrapped? Are you getting
It's
paid
not
more?
that big of a difference.
Yeah.
I always say that.
So when it comes to storage, a lot of people do ask me, you can use tarnish strips, dehumidifiers, silica gel packs even work. Also, coin capsules if you're buying, like loose coins. There's coin tubes, there's airtights. There's a lot of different things that you can do for storage.
But keep them out of the air. This
Yeah.
is what happens when you put a piece of silver, leave it out on your desk
Show the
forever.
backside,
Yeah.
too.
I mean, and
Really?
you can see it just oxidizes
Tarnishes.
and
Is that you?
yeah. But anyways, and then you compare it to a coin in here,
Yeah.
which it's open it, you'll see the difference in. You keep a coin in a tube, and you can see the difference in
silver.
quality. It's the same. When I first got this, it looked brand new. It was cut off of a 1,000-ounce bar, a brand new 1,000-ounce bar, and obviously you can see. But if you keep the coins in a tube like this, it will look perfect forever. They spelled my name wrong on that.
Yeah, they did. But we can clean this up. I can get this perfectly clean again.
Oh.
Baking soda. We will. We'll do it. That'll be out. Maybe we'll do it live.
And never purposely clean coins if they're older. It will.
Yep.
You would think you should, but it actually destroys the value
Yep.
if you try to resell it. So,
Yeah, usually most people are doing it on the Morgans and the peace dollars. They're
Yeah.
trying to clean them up to make them look prettier or
yeah.
make their grading be better on
But-
them. Slayer's right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
So here, all right, this is my last purchase, and I agree. The platinum is remarkably undervalued. It's similar in terms of its undervaluation to silver. There is a platinum eagle. You can show it.
This is a gift from Andy to myself. It's very
Wow, I've never
very
been.
grateful.
That looks
Very-
awesome.
The perks of being at Miles Franklin.
Yeah, you can't find them. They're hard to find, really hard to find. Platinum since 2008 has been as rare as hen's teeth when you talk about, like American Eagles. I don't know what the mint numbers are, but my guess is really small, like under 50,000 ounces a year, if that. But I think there's a lot to be said for platinum right now. I do think it is a good value. I wouldn't hesitate to buy it.
Yeah.
Maples.
We sell platinum too. We
Yeah.
sell.
The maples were very difficult to come by too.
All right.
They stopped making them when 21.
You can drop off if we've kept you too long. I know.
Oh no.
got a
That's
life
fine.
to live too, brother. But
Yeah.
you know, love
I am gonna make a video after this, but I did want to say something though, man. I just want to say thank you for everything. You know, when I met you, I was at a much different spot. You know, not only just with my channel, but you know, my life. Like right when I met you, my dad died. My mom got diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. I was in like the darkest point of my life. I was broke. Like, I mean, like, you know, YouTube doesn't pay good, you know, like
it.
I was making like maybe it doesn't matter, but you know, you kind of mentored me and yeah, you got me out of some hard stuff, man. And even, you know, I just want to say thanks. You know, I
Dude,
do. I appreciate
the
it. And you'll
honor.
call me, man. Like you would call me. You'd call me at like 11 p.m. sitting in your hot tub, just like, yo, you good, man? Like if you got to talk about anything, you know, I'm here. And like I don't know, man. That stuff. You know, I appreciate that.
You know, thank you for saying it. The honor is mine. You're a good person, and you did it on your own. And I respect people who achieve on their own. Like I said on the podcast last week, my sixth grade teacher said stick-to-itiveness. You have it. And you stuck to me the minute I spoke with you, and I have great respect. You're a friend. You're someone I'm honored to represent my company, but more important to me, you're someone that I'd like to spend time with outside of that, which to me is the primary qualification for working my company. Are you someone that I could call a friend? And Kevin will tell you, Kevin is my dear friend, and everyone who works at Miles Franklin, if they're not family, they're dear friends. And I'll throw you into that list as well, Jay. And thank you for saying that. But you can give people opportunities, and you know, people say, well, you're lucky. No, luck truly is when preparation, you know, meets opportunity. And aside from our business, you're my buddy, you're my friend, and there's not a damn thing I wouldn't do for you. So thank you for making my night and saying such nice things.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Richard, very well said. Richard Love, we don't ship to Australia, and he's asking if you want an affiliate in Australia.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have shipped to Australia before. I shipped one coin to Shay Russell.
Yeah.
She used to work for Agora.
Yeah.
You know Shay.
Yeah,
She's
of course.
awesome. Redhead
Yeah.
Shay. She's the best. And her daughter like foxes in the Central Canadian fox, and it was like $1 million to ship it there. The cost of shipping silver is very difficult. Here's an interesting one that I'll tell you. One of the reasons we don't ship really except to Canada these days.
Yeah.
I sold $400,000 in gold Britannias to a guy in Great Britain. And it went through customs just fine. And when he got the boxes, they were empty. And we had Scotland Yard involved. And it took over, I don't know, months and months and months. And it was the largest claim that we'd ever done. And more or less, the insurance company said, you do that again, find a new carrier. So it's sending stuff out of the country other than to Canada is really a problem.
Yeah. Listen, we wish we can do it overseas, but it's listen, shipping's hard enough in the States.
Right.
We see that sometimes also.
We have the Canadians, it's like mfbullion.ca. I think that's our Canadian site.
That's up in Canada, but it's not. Shipping stuff to anywhere outside of Canada is next to impossible.
Yeah.
Too costly. Plus, silver has a VAT tax in just about every country, including Australia, upon entry into the country. So not going to happen.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to say, my friend?
No, I just want everyone to know, you know, I love you all. You know, if you buy from us, it's FedEx, you know, 100% insured, signature required, and you know, we'll take care of you. There's no minimum. A lot of people think that. They're like, what's the maximum I got to buy? It's like you could buy $5 if you wanted to.
Online companies, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, they had minimums. Yeah, they put minimums.
Yeah. So that's it.
And the other thing, I think a lot of the things. Another question is, you know, how do I know it's you? Well, it'll say Miles Franklin on the box. No, we don't do that. We're
right.
Not.
Right. We don't report anything.
Right. But you know, everything is shipped in brown boxes, very nondescript. We don't put precious metals. We don't put fragile. We don't put please open me. Everything is done. Usually it's in names that you're not familiar with. Potentially we're not familiar with. We change them quite frequently for security. We do it to protect us, to protect you. So, and like Slayer said, we do it FedEx 2-day. You can have it shipped to your home, and we can also ship to a FedEx hub or a FedEx owned entity so that you can actually have it there, and you have 5 days to pick it up. So it's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
And then it's Master.
No, sir.
All right.
I don't think so. Jay, I love you, brother. Thanks for coming on, and you made it special tonight. And no, I'm not the guitar player in the family. My son is.
I could play the opening to Stone in Love, and that's it. I can't close with it. I can just open with it, and that's it.
When you're talented as you, that's all you.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's just an opening.
Yeah.
And
then what?
And then that's it. I drop it. There used to be a mic drop. I just dropped the guitar.
My favorite one though is all Prince. They're the one. Second one in the middle is.
Can't really see it, but it is. It's Purple Rain.
Yeah, I have a friend in the entertainment business who he had the exclusive contract with Kiss and a lot of musicians, and I helped him and worked with him for a while, way back when, a million years ago. Go ahead, throw that anywhere. And so they're collectors. My son is a very accomplished guitar player.
He is. Josh, I saw him the other day. I was scrolling through, I think, YouTube. Or no, TikTok.
Yeah.
And I saw him jamming to the dead. I was loving it. No, he's great.
Oh,
he's got some serious talent.
Yeah.
He sure
One
does.
of these days he'll jump on and play guitar for us.
That would be great.
Anyways, Jay, I will talk with you soon, and the invitation is still open to come here with us.
Yeah.
Hang with us old timers. We'll show you how it goes. But I hope everyone enjoys these. You guys, it's amazing that there's so many people watching, and we try to keep it lighthearted. We like the questions.
Keep them coming.
I said to Kevin, and I mean this. I said that I got a bottle of 1942 tequila, Don Julio, the best tequila in the world. I told him if enough of you, if you say it's juvenile and it's a bad thing, don't do it. Or if enough of you say do it, what I wanted to do was every question we alternate taking shots. and I'm telling you, the two of us could polish off a bottle of tequila, and I mean, the question, but toward the end of the night. But I think that's the fun of it. And see who falls first.
And it doesn't need to be metals related. It's just a question.
Or do a meetup.
It's live on YouTube. What could be better? I mean, that's it.
Yeah, so do a meetup.
That's something you'd like to see,
Write it into info@milesfranklinco.com.
Yeah.
And
mind you, I've seen him drunk once in 4 years.
Very peculiar of who gets to see me,
Peculiar or particular?
No,
you are peculiar.
I am peculiar, but I am particular also. But yeah, right into info@milesfranklin.com or give a phone call. And if you have any questions in general to speak to either Andy, myself, or any one of the brokers, any of the inquiries, just please send.
And Jay, how can people get a hold of you too, brother?
Oh, my YouTube?
No,
in general.
The best way people can find out more about you, because your information is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, my YouTube is youtube.com/@silverslayer. That's where I post my daily videos at, or you could email me, slayer@milesfranklin, or call me. I'm trying to be accessible. My phone's on 24 hours a day. I got a few calls during this. I'm going to call people back. Even though it's 9:30, I'll lock some orders in. I don't care. I'll try to be there for everyone, so.
Well, that's why, that says a lot about you. And again, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you for making my night. And you and everyone else out there, it's time for us to go. But I hope everyone stays well. We'll see you next week. We're not on. Next week's the election.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And get this one. This is kind of crazy. Next week, Kevin and I are going to golf on Tuesday at Trump International.
I don't have a choice. This is a work-related event.
Yes.
Work-related.
Where he was shot at. I have a friend who's a member there and is going to bring us, and where he was shot at. That's where they tried to. Yes.
Well, he wasn't shot. They just had him.
Well,
Someone was-
shot at, or he put the gun through, whatever. Or they called it
It
an
was an
attempted
attempt.
assassination.
It was an attempt.
Yes, that's what we're gonna
Yeah.
play. So hopefully,
You're
you know.
starting rumors here.
Okay. Sorry.
Don't-
Where there was a gun
don't
stuck
apologize
through the
to me.
bushes.
Right, yes. Apologize to Donald, not to me.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Can you jam on the guitar?
No.
You can jam on the guitar.
Not
it just
very
would
well.
sound
It
like
wouldn't sound good.
horrendous. Right.
Horrible.
Not one redeeming quality.
Should we stay on all night?
Yeah, well, I mean, we
Pull
could-
an all-nighter?
Oh, we got there.
I made a poll 8 hours ago. Who's your vote? Please explain. 1.1 thousand votes.
For what?
1.1 thousand votes, Donald Trump or Kamala. 94% said Trump, 6% said Kamala.
There you go.
Almost all stackers are almost all stackers.
That's the demographics
That's
right
it.
there.
That's
Yeah,
it. I mean,
right.
look, I would venture to say, I mean, if I were to ask Andy right now, if he were to guess of any and all of our clients, what do you think the percentage of
99.
conservative?
Yep,
to
every
liberal-
single one.
I would say I don't think that I have. I don't think that I have one.
Someone says Andy obey the wife. Did you put that up there for a reason?
yeah,
No, the wife is the one putting the questions up, and she's laughing.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
yeah. I think
It's
might
really
have.
not funny.
I might have paid David the whippersnapper to put that up
It's
there. I'm not
funny,
sure.
and if it's like your buddy who's getting that, it's not funny when it's you who has to like obey the wife. Sure, I do.
All right, folks.
No, don't call.
He needs a
I
friend.
need a friend.
He does.
All right, love
He's
you
got
all.
me.
Yeah.
Enjoy, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see you 2 weeks from tonight, unless something crazy happens and we decide to go live.
Oh yeah. Emergency meeting.
Well, no, what we're gonna do? We're gonna have to change it. Unfortunately, the special we had for this week, which was the Kangs, we now sold out of. We had the Brits, we sold out of. We're getting a lot more in, but right
By
now,
the way, for those people who think that was about 120,000 coins that are gone in a period of a few days.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's
we
great.
literally launched it. It was for Sunday, and but right now we're doing Philharmonics. Call in. I think that we had them higher, but I'll put something up to everyone tomorrow at Miles Franklin. We'll do the Philharmonics backdated fills at $2.99 over spot for you guys. Just mention the Q&A, live Q&A with Miles Franklin, and you'll get that special. So until then, we will see you soon.
Adios. Thanks again, Jay.
Take care. Good seeing you, Slayer.
Bye, everybody.
See you.